From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Monday, December 30th. This morning we're talking about the obit of 100-year-old Jimmy Carter, who passed away yesterday. We'll have details on his life and legacy in just a few minutes. And we have the latest on a Laurel family grieving and the legacy the Wilkerson family leaves behind now with the death of their father. And new this morning, we're going to take a look at a new local business with Things to Learn Farm Alazana. Details on that in just a few minutes. Good morning again. Welcome December 30th. Happy Monday, everybody.
Yeah, getting close to a brand new year, huh?
Getting close to a brand new year. And if you've got plans for the new year tomorrow, whether that's at noon or midnight, we had
oh, the noon thing, yeah, was
the
noon,
wonder,
where they're going to they're going to drop the ball quickly there for
at
folks
noon
like
on Tuesday for families and for people who work
at the Wonderworks, right?
in the dead of night.
Yeah,
at Wonderworks, yeah.
Wise Wonders.
Wise Wonders, yes,
Sorry,
that's
Wise
the name
Wonders,
of it.
my bad. Yeah, so folks like us who get up at the crack of dawn, we
and
can
if
actually
people are
celebrate
like,
the
oh
new
my
year.
gosh, you're not going to stay up, you can just be like, no, I have plans at noon.
Yeah, there you go. They're ringing the new year early.
I am fun.
Nothing wrong with that. So, all right, well, we can ring in the new year on a very cold note, very snowy note. Here you can see these winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories in effect for much of the area. Let's just kind of show you what we're looking at. Closer to home, that would include the Absarokas, Beartooth's, Crazy Mountains until by 11 a.m. this morning. We could pick up another 5 to 10 inches of snowfall, mainly on the west-facing slopes. Gusts up to 50 miles an hour will mean blowing snow as well. And also winter weather advisories all across the Q2 viewing area, including here in Billings until about 5 p.m. Where I think in Billings, maybe a shot of about a half an inch of snow. But we're not done there. Each and every day, maybe minus Wednesday afternoon, but all the way through the end of the week, through the weekend, daily snow showers are possible. So we've been waiting for winter. Looks like winter's finally arriving, and it's about to get very, very cold. Just how cold? I'll let you know coming up.
A cold snap. All right, Melanie,
yeah.
thanks so much. And to the end, former President Jimmy Carter, who passed away Sunday at the age of 100, led a life of public service, impacting and inspiring millions. And in his many years in and out of office, several Billings residents had their paths crossed with Carter's, including our own Russ Riesinger. He takes a look back at the life of Jimmy Carter and all of the lives he touched.
I was a Carter delegate to the National Democratic Convention in New York City in 1980.
Former three-term Billings Mayor Chuck Tooley has fond memories of President Jimmy Carter.
His greatest legacy is who he was as a human being.
His one term in the Oval Office was overshadowed by the Iran hostage crisis and a sputtering economy, among other things. But Tooley credits Carter for a number of accomplishments.
He negotiated a SALT II treaty successfully with the Soviet Union, and he fully recognized the People's Republic of China, which became our biggest trading partner.
This solar strategy will not be easy.
But those aren't the things that most people will remember President Jimmy Carter for.
He's had a real influence on my life and ministry.
Billings Central Christian Church pastor Doug Garner took a class under Carter while in seminary at Emory University in Atlanta.
Just about how to put your Christianity to work in the real world. Now, of course, he was great at that.
As a student, Garner also worked on a Habitat for Humanity project with the Carters.
That was fun. They worked hard. They were there from sun up to sundown, it seemed like.
A few years later, Garner visited Plains, Georgia, Carter's hometown, and was surprised to see Jimmy and his brother Billy outside, shirts off, building a fence.
Jimmy and Billy both came over and said hi to us. It was amazing, and he remembered me from class.
The man was decent. He was moral.
Tooley has a similar tale, meeting the Carters at the Billings airport when they'd come to Montana on a fly fishing trip.
So I went down there and had a nice private chat with him and Rosalind and some Secret Service agents.
In the fall of 2016, my wife and I had a chance to meet President Carter and his wife Rosalind. Carter had miraculously bounced back from cancer that spread to his brain and returned to teaching Sunday school in his hometown, something he did for more than 7 decades.
And we have freedom given to us by God to decide this is the kind of person I'm going to be.
There was no talk of politics whatsoever. Carter spoke about things he still hoped to accomplish, building more homes and eradicating the guinea worm, a parasite that caused thousands of people to go blind. That has now nearly happened.
You know, he always lived his faith. He didn't have to tell you that he was a Christian. You just knew it.
So I think his career beyond president was what people will remember, and I hope they do.
Jimmy Carter, the 39th President of the United States. In Billings, Russ Riesinger, MTN News.
Thank you so much, Russ. And former Montana Senator Max Baucus began his many years in office in 1978 working with President Carter. Yesterday, Baucus released a statement saying, quote, "There's never been a former president who has worked as hard or dedicated himself to continued service as Jimmy Carter. He worked tirelessly to help others, selflessly serving in his modest way on causes from providing families with a decent home to eradicating disease in Guinea." President Carter was one of the most decent people I've ever known in public or private service, and I will miss him dearly. And in local news this morning, one Laurel family continues to cope with the tragedy that's left an entire community reeling. 56-year-old Kevin Wilkerson, a volunteer firefighter in Joliet, lost his life last Sunday after a semi lost control on Interstate 90 and collided with an SUV. His 16-year-old daughter was also seriously injured in that crash and faces a long road to recovery. Our Isabel Spartz has more from the family as they reflect on that heartbreaking day and the hole it will forever leave behind.
On December 22nd, the Wilkerson family's lives were changed after 56-year-old Kevin tragically lost his life, with his wife and two of his children in the vehicle. His daughter Alyssa suffered from significant injuries, but as she recovers, his loss will be felt throughout both the Joliet and Laurel communities.
Retired Coast Guard veteran Kevin Wilkerson will be remembered by many in his community for his commitment to service.
It's going to be a big loss for our fire department and our community because he was always there to help.
His father-in-law and Joliet Fire Department Chief Melvin Hoofer worked alongside Kevin for many years and says that Kevin always answered the call to help, but also loved entertaining others.
He did all the cooking and everything like that, so that was his thing. He just loved to have people around.
But perhaps he'll remember Kevin best for his love of family and incredible skills in the kitchen.
I guess I best remember him for his cooking because we always had family dinners down there and he was an excellent meat chef.
The family is reeling from this massive loss, but must now remain strong and fight for the Wilkerson's 16-year-old daughter, Alyssa. Alyssa suffered extensive injuries in the accident with a broken neck, femur, and both of her hands. But through all the pain, her spirits remain high.
She's a spunky little girl and that spirit's coming back. So she's getting her sense of humor back and she's a fighter and she knows she's in for a long battle and she's ready for it.
In the crash, Kevin's wife Heather suffered a broken finger and their son Ty broke his collarbone. As they heal, they are rallying behind Alyssa.
We were so excited when she could start feeling her arms and stuff like that. I mean, usually you're excited when they get up as little babies and walk, and now that'll be a great day when she walks.
Alyssa will need several surgeries and eventually be moved to Salt Lake City to continue that recovery. But for the family, it has already felt like a lifetime since the accident.
I just realized today it's almost been 7 days, and it seems like a month. We've been down at the hospital with her most of the time.
To help with their expenses, a Wilkerson Family Medical Fund has been set up at the Bank of Joliet, as well as the Kevin Wilkerson Memorial Fund at any Stockman bank.
The whole community has just been so great, so supportive, and we're thankful for that. It helps the whole family.
In Billings, Isabel Spartz, MTN News.
We wish Alyssa a speedy recovery, and our thoughts are with the Wilkerson family. The agriculture industry is rapidly changing, and producers that don't change with it are in danger of getting left behind. And this week's Montana Ag Report, MTN's Tom Wiley shares the story of a barley farmer in central Montana whose grains have taken on a new spirit.
Well, the barley grown here in central Montana you can usually find in the beer that you drink, but a fourth-generation farmer from Power is moving in a new direction, and you can find the product right here in these barrels.
But this is the new hopper, all these parts.
Ryan Fifely is a Montana Renaissance man.
Get out my laser.
He graduated with a degree in engineering from Montana State and took a job out of college.
That took me all over the world and even ended up in Scotland for a year and a half.
While in Scotland, Fifely developed an interest in craft brewing and whiskey.
And of course, when you're in Scotland, you got to do what you do in Scotland. And we went to many distilleries and tried many whiskeys made by the Scots, which obviously they do a fantastic job. So I got a taste for single malt whiskey.
But agriculture is in his blood, and the call of the family farm and power was too strong to ignore.
The farming bug got me, and the sitting at a desk bug didn't get me.
For generations, his family raised barley for industrial breweries, including Molson Coors, just a stone's throw away in power. But Ryan had other ideas.
I got into home brewing, but I had a problem. I couldn't use my family's barley to make my home brew because there's a middle step called malting. So doing what I do, I guess, I built a little machine to make malt and had a lot of fun with that. But through that, I learned about craft malting.
Ryan started producing craft malt for local breweries under the name Farm Power Malt. He attended malting school in Canada and met a family from Argentina who ran a distillery. Through that relationship, Fifely came up with the idea to create single malt whiskey in central Montana, which led to building a distillery in Power called Farm Alizana.
Single malt whiskey is 100% malted barley, and well, what do we grow here in central Montana? We grow fantastic malt barley.
But it's not just a passion project for Fifely, it's practical. According to numbers from the Brewers Association, overall 2023 beer sales were down over 5% from the previous year, and the effects are felt by producers in Montana.
If fewer people drink beer, or beer consumption goes down, or bread consumption goes down for the wheat we grow, or flour, that'll obviously filter back to the farmer eventually with lower prices.
So an added value operation like a whiskey distillery can help offset those losses.
One way we can combat that a little bit is doing what we're doing here and kind of cut out the middleman or make a high quality product.
Farm Alizana whiskey is still a few years away from release as it ages in barrels, but Fifely hopes it's just the start of what could be a growing industry in central Montana.
Someday I kind of hope there's a dozen in this area, and that would lead to tourism and people traveling here, like they travel to Kentucky for bourbon or they travel to Napa Valley for wine.
Tom Wiley, MTN News.
Tom, thanks so much. More than 100,000 people are on the National Transplant waiting list. At this year's Tournament of Roses parade, one organization is celebrating those who've helped to make that list smaller through organ and tissue donation. CBS's Danya Bacchus got a sneak peek of the float and spoke to family members of those being honored.
Among all the bands and elaborate floats at the Rose Parade, one will be dedicated to those who have received or given the gift of life.
We're about to celebrate our 15 years, right? Yeah. We're about to celebrate our 15-year liverversary.
Elaine Jones is a living organ donor. She gave part of her liver to a then infant girl named Jaylee, who is now a teenager and thriving.
I consider her as a mom.
As a mom? And why mom?
Because she donated a part of her to me, and I'm thankful for that.
The spirit of thankfulness will be on full display on the One Legacy Donate Life float. The theme is Let Your Life Soar. Those impacted by organ and tissue donation shared their stories at a preview event. The Organ Procurement Organization will pay a special tribute to deceased donors. 14 organ and tissue donors will be honored through these fluorographs on the float. Through donation, they've saved more than 50 lives and healed hundreds more. The youngest was just 2 years old.
I think the best thing for us was just knowing that another 2-year-old's life could be saved, a 50-year-old man, a 50-year-old woman, just the possibilities from it.
The parents of 2-year-old Sire Porcher donated his organs when he died from an accidental drowning last year. They're proud to know that even though his life was cut short, he leaves behind a lasting legacy.
He was special. I didn't know if he was going to be an actor, famous, an athlete, but he was going to do something big, and the fact that this is the something big that he did with his life.
A big honor for donors, recipients, and their families, as they hope the float inspires more people to donate life. Danya Bacchus, CBS News, Pasadena, California.